Did you hear that?
Someone out there? Cal?
Becky! I came looking for you! What?
How did you get here before us?
I don't know.
You can find things, but it's easier once they're dead.
This field doesn't make any sense. Name one thing in here that does. We're all here for a reason.
The movie starts with Cal and his sister Becky are driving to San Diego, running away from home because Becky is 6 months pregnant and their parents didn't handle the news well. As they talk, Becky starts reconsidering their decision. She suddenly feels sick, so Cal pulls over near a church for her to throw up. Just as they're about to leave, Becky hears a boy's voice screaming for help from the tall grass nearby.
Let's just get back on the road and not worry about it.
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
Cal parks the car and calls out to the boy, learning he's been stuck in the grass for days. Then, they hear a woman's voice in the grass telling the boy to stop shouting, and Cal assumes the boy is close to the road. Determined to help, Cal enters the grass, with Becky following while trying to call 911. But as she moves deeper, her phone loses reception, and she quickly realizes she's lost sight of Cal. Becky calls out to locate him, but when she suggests they return to the car, Cal agrees they should reunite first. She loudly recites an old rhyme, but this confuses Cal. Her voice seems to shift from one side to the other. They decide to jump to pinpoint each other's locations. On the first jump, they see each other, but by the second jump, they're much farther apart without moving. Becky falls into the mud, and Cal, panicked, runs toward her. But he also falls into the mud and discovers a dead dog named Freddy, covered in flies and clearly decayed. Hours pass as the siblings struggle to find each other or an exit. As the sun sets, they accept they're trapped in the grass. Exhausted, Becky sits down and waits for Cal to find her. Suddenly, a creepy figure emerges from the grass. It's just a man named Ross, who offers to help Becky escape the field.
There's a man here.
It's okay, Cal. This is Tobin's daddy.
He explains that he knows a way out, but hasn't left yet because he's searching for his wife and son, the voices Becky and Cal heard earlier. Becky feels uneasy around him, but has no choice and agrees to his help. Together, they start looking for Cal. Meanwhile, Cal keeps calling out for Becky without success. Disappointed, he sits down, but something startles him. It's Tobin, the boy who had been calling for help earlier. Tobin comforts him, saying it's easier to find things once they're dead.
Tobin?
The field doesn't move dead things around.
Cal, confused and unsettled, asks if Tobin lured them into the field. Tobin denies it, explaining that he and his family entered after hearing a man calling for help. He adds that he doesn't know how long they've been trapped. Tobin then claims Becky will die soon, surprising Cal, who asks how Tobin knows she's his sister. Tobin explains that the rock told him the truth. He says the rock teaches people how to hear the grass, revealing hidden truths. Tobin begins guiding Cal to Becky. As they walk, Ross and Becky talk about her baby, and Ross guesses that the baby's father isn't with her. Along the way, Becky notices medicine bottles and scissors scattered on the ground, confused about how they got there. When she looks again, she discovers Ross isn't there anymore. She begins calling for him to no avail, so she changes to calling Cal. As she looks around for any signs, something suddenly grabs her and takes her into the grass. Back to Tobin. He takes Cal to a small area with no grass with a mysterious giant rock in the middle of it. Tobin urges Cal to touch it, but when Cal comes closer, he hears whispers of what seem to be tribal chants. Right before Cal touches it, Becky is heard screaming, and Cal immediately runs in the direction of her voice, ignoring Tobin warning him to not get in there.
Becky!
Wait!
Becky!
Suddenly, the day changes to a clear day, showing a truck stopping at a gas station on the same road as the church. This is Becky's ex Travis, who has come to look for the siblings. Since he finds nothing at the train station, Travis continues his journey and finds Becky and Cal's car parked by the church. When he looks inside the car, he sees bugs and dust, indicating the vehicle has been there for weeks. Travis begins calling their names and looking for them, but there's no response. Next, he enters the church, but it's empty too. On his way out, he sees a book on the ground and picks it up only to see Becky's name on it. Suspecting the siblings entered the grass field, Travis goes in as well, folding the grass and following the sun so he can keep track of how to get back. Unfortunately, every time he takes a step, the grass just unfolds itself. After a few steps, Travis realizes the sun isn't in the correct spot anymore. But regardless of his confusion, he keeps moving until night falls. Since he's tired, he stops to lie on the ground and stare at Becky's photo. Suddenly, something startles Travis. It's Tobin popping out of nowhere, as whispers and laughter can be heard in the tall grass. Tobin reveals he knows Travis' name and that he's looking for Becky, saying he can take him to her. Travis doesn't hesitate to follow him, only to be incredibly upset to discover Becky's dead body right in the middle of the field. As Travis clings to her crying, Tobin explains the grass doesn't move dead things because it makes them easier to find. When Travis looks up, Tobin is gone. The next morning, Travis wakes up and sees Becky's dead body right beside him. He picks up a necklace from her body and starts moving again, but then he hears someone and starts calling for help.
Hello? Hey!
It's Tobin who responds back, and Travis calls for him again so the boy can find him. However, the Tobin that shows up looks clean and healthy, and he's there with his mom Natalie, his dad Ross, and the dog Freddie. This reveals that the grass field is stuck in some sort of time loop. Suddenly, Freddie runs into the field, and Tobin follows him, ignoring Natalie's warnings. At that moment, Travis realizes Tobin has managed to leave the field and tries to tell him not to come back inside. But it's too late. The boy is coming for his family. Natalie thinks she hears Tobin nearby and splits up from the group to find him. By the time night falls, Ross is looking for his family alone and comes across the mysterious rock. The next morning, Tobin is shouting for help while Becky and Cal are outside the field with the car again. However, this time Travis is in the field too. When he hears Becky's voice, he calls her name, and both siblings are shocked to hear him before replying.
Travis?
What?
Travis tells them that he came looking for them, which Becky finds hard to believe. Suddenly, they hear Tobin's voice reciting Becky's rhyme, and Travis follows it to finally find the boy. Becky does the same thing and is reunited with Travis, making the moment rather awkward. Shortly after, Cal shows up too, and he clearly doesn't like the fact Travis is there. At that moment, the group finds Freddie's body. To add to the confusion, Travis tells the siblings that they've been missing for 2 months, but they don't believe him because from their perspective, they only left 2 days ago. Suddenly, Becky feels like someone is watching them and says they need to go. So Travis picks up Tobin on his shoulders for the boy to find a way out. Travis spots a building in the distance, and they start walking toward it. Cal asks Travis if he told anyone about their trip, hoping someone might come looking for them. Unfortunately, Travis admits he didn't tell anyone. Becky suddenly feels pain in her belly, prompting Travis to ask about the baby. She reveals it's a girl and lets him touch her belly to feel the baby move. Suddenly, a phone rings, and they're shocked to hear a voice that sounds like Becky, crying and warning them not to let Cal hurt Travis. The voice mentions they will keep making the same mistake repeatedly. Confused and unsettled, they decide to keep moving, unaware that someone is watching them from the grass. A few steps later, Becky slips in the mud and sees terrifying visions of a baby, tall grass, and strange people approaching her. Overwhelmed, she faints. Cal and Travis rush to help her, but Ross suddenly appears, offering to help and claiming he can lead them out. Travis mentions the building they saw earlier and lifts Tobin to get a better view, but now Tobin sees only endless grass. Ross cryptically explains that this is how things work in the field.
That's the way things work around here.
The group continues walking and eventually reaches the mysterious rock again. This time, they notice carvings all over it. Ross claims the carvings represent higher knowledge and touches the rock while explaining its meaning. His behavior unsettles everyone, and he urges Cal to touch the rock too, promising it will grant him knowledge. Before Cal can act, Natalie emerges from the grass and stops him, warning her husband to stay away from the group. She's obviously terrified of him and tells the others that Ross is lying before explaining that she had seen Becky and Ross before, but Becky wasn't alive and Ross tried to hurt Natalie. Ross denies this, and while they argue, Becky sees the visions again, but this time she also sees Ross in the grass looking very supernatural. Terrified, Becky tells Travis and Cal they should leave. They try to get Natalie and Tobin to go with them, but Ross is still trying to manipulate them to touch the rock. Travis cuts it, triggering an argument that soon becomes a physical fight. As the men exchange blows, Becky asks Cal to help Travis, but Cal refuses. While they fight, Ross keeps insisting that Travis should touch the rock and finally overpowers him to win the fight. Next, Ross attacks Natalie, showing he's truly lost it when he smashes her head with his bare hands. The rest of the group runs away from Ross and finds Freddy, so they begin to follow him until they reach an abandoned building. Once they get inside, Travis and Cal blame each other for this mess, starting an argument. Cal blames Travis for abandoning Becky, accusing him of wanting Becky to terminate the baby, and Travis retaliates by saying Cal has naughty feelings for his sister, causing Cal to throw a punch and start to fight. At that moment, Ross catches up and tries to break the door. The group immediately takes the stairs to the roof and looks around the area, where they see the church across the field. Unfortunately, they would have to go through the grass to reach it, so they try to figure out another plan. Suddenly, Travis sees Freddy running by, but the dog disappears when he walks into the grass. This makes them think there is a hole in the loop that can lead them out. Trying to look for more clues, Travis has a closer look at the field by standing on the edge of the roof, which causes him to slip. Cal notices, but he does nothing to save him, and Travis falls to the ground. All this is seen by Tobin, and when Cal notices the boy, he tries to explain himself. However, at that moment, Ross begins getting closer. The group runs again, but Becky asks about Travis, refusing to leave without him. When Cal can't provide an answer, Becky gets suspicious that he did something to Travis, and she walks away from her brother. Cal tries to follow her, but Ross suddenly catches him, revealing he knows the truth about the Travis incident. Cal tries to escape, but Ross doesn't let him go and holds him to the ground as he struggles for his life. At that moment, many bodies appear in the field of grass. Travis turns out to be alive, and he gets up to look for Becky again. He yells for her name, and she answers, but they can't see each other. Giving up, they both lie in the grass and talk about their child again. So Travis says he's happy Becky's decision to keep the baby. However, Becky confesses that she wasn't going to keep the child, and that's why they were going to San Diego. There was a family there who wanted the kid. Upset, Travis swears he will find a way out. Suddenly, Ross shows up and attacks Becky. In the struggle, Becky manages to grab the scissors that she found on the ground, but Ross quickly disarms her. Then he brings her down to the dirt, intending to take advantage of her, but this gives Becky the chance to grab the scissors again and stab Ross in the eye. As it starts to rain, Becky runs as fast as possible, only to freak out when she notices there are dozens of grass people coming to her from all sides. These weirdos grab her and pull her into the grass. Moments later, Becky finds herself lying in the mud in front of the rock. She pulls her phone out and makes a call, which turns out to be the one they heard earlier about not letting Cal hurt Travis. Suddenly, the grass people come back and surround Becky as she screams in pain because her body has decided to deliver the baby. The visions come again, and this birth matches the drawings on the rock. After lots of pushing, Becky hears the baby crying, but she can't see her. The ground suddenly shakes and splits into a giant ditch between Becky and the rock. Becky steps to the edge and peers inside, spotting people clinging to the branches of an old tree, struggling to escape. She screams and stumbles backward before exhaustion overwhelms her, and she collapses. When she opens her eyes moments later, she asks about the baby. Cal answers, calming her down and offering her water. He holds a baby and shows it to her, easing her worries. As she drifts back to sleep, Cal starts feeding her. Becky, starving, eats eagerly. Cal claims it's grass and seeds, but the taste seems strange to Becky. When she realizes she's eating human flesh and that Cal is actually Ross, she panics. Meanwhile, Travis, though badly injured, keeps searching for Becky. He eventually finds her alone on the ground. When Becky asks about the baby, Travis touches her belly and realizes the baby is gone. He breaks down in grief. Tobin reappears and tells Travis that Ross killed everyone and will never stop, trapping them in a cycle of death. Terrified, Tobin starts crying, and Travis hugs him, promising to protect him. Then, Travis yells for Ross, daring him to finish the fight. Ross jumps out from the grass and attacks Travis, trying to kill him while ignoring Tobin's pleas to stop. He uses a bone to strike Travis, knocking him down before going after his son. Tobin runs, but Ross catches him and tries to force him to touch the rock. Suddenly, Becky gets up and hits Ross from behind, causing him to drop Tobin. Becky collapses again, but Travis rises and attacks Ross, slamming his head against the rock and finally killing him by strangling him with grass. Travis then goes to Becky, holds her, and cries. Unsure of what to do next, Travis approaches the rock. Tobin warns him not to touch it, saying he'll never leave if he does, but Travis ignores him. He touches the rock, feeling strange as a red light bursts from it, spreading across the field like it's cleansing the area. Now, Travis looks as eerie as Ross once did, scaring Tobin. The boy tries to run, but Travis stops him, asking him to follow him. The rock grants Travis knowledge of the field. He takes Tobin to the entrance and tells him to leave and warn Becky and Cal not to enter the field again, hoping this will break the loop. Travis gives Tobin Becky's necklace and pushes him out of the field. Instantly, Tobin appears in the church attic. He exits and finds Becky and Cal's car parked on the road. They're about to enter the field after hearing cries for help. Tobin runs to them and begs them to stop. Strangely, his own voice comes from the grass, confusing Cal, who begins approaching it. Tobin pleads with Becky and shows her the necklace Travis gave him to prove his story. Shocked, Becky compares it to her own necklace. When Tobin mentions Travis, she finally believes him and stops Cal. She convinces her brother to leave, and they take Tobin with them in the car. Instead of continuing to San Diego, Becky decides to go back because she's resolved to keep the baby. In the field, Travis hears her decision and smiles, happy with the change. He lays down and lets the grass engulf him. And that's how the movie ends. What did you think of this movie? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and press the bell icon for more amazing videos. See you next time.